Evening all, Louise here. I've had a few days off. Right, two things. I have a brand new Rider-Waite deck. And I am retiring this deck, which I've had for probably about 15 years. I'm going to decide what I'm going to do with this deck. I might do it as a giveaway. So we've got a new deck today, and a big thank you to Melissa that has sent me this Goddess of Love tarot from my Amazon wish list. I've had a look through the cards. They are lovely. However, I don't think I'm going to be able to use them for YouTube, although I'll be able to use them for personal readings, because some of the pictures are probably a little bit too graphic for YouTube. But it's a lovely deck, and thank you very much to Melissa. I'll be playing with that. Right, this reading. Oh yes, and another thing, any requests from now on for readings I will take from members only. And after yesterday's live, I've got a few readings to be going on with. I know not many of the members were here yesterday because it was Easter Sunday. So I'm giving members a chance to give me requests for readings now. This reading is from Karen, who asked for it, but also lots of the members that were on the live last night also said they thought doing this reading would be they would like me to do this reading. This is about the most recent Supreme Court's decision about what is a woman. So suffice to say, the law hasn't been changed. The law has just been clarified, which means that for women's spaces, toilets, changing rooms, sports, etc., a woman is defined by her biology. So any person, any female, finding themselves feeling intimidated because there's a clear or obvious man in the toilets or changing rooms, etc., is not going to now be ostracized or lose your job or anything like that. But in law, trans people are protected in law, and so they should be. And it's just been reiterated that trans people should not be subjected to abuse. However, which is, sure, no one should be subjected to abuse, and they still have rights as trans people under the Equality Act. This throws up quite a little bit of confusion in a way, because as far as I'm aware, I don't know if anything's happened since I last looked, but Keir Starmer has said nothing about it. Rachel Reeves said something like welcoming the Supreme Court's decision, and then other Labour MPs have been caught out in a WhatsApp group threatening to overturn that ruling. They can't appeal it. It's a Supreme Court ruling based on a particular law. So there's going to be repercussions. The only other thing to say about that is that all the women that have lost their jobs, all the women that have been ousted out of sports clubs and things like that for refusing to play sport against a trans person, we don't know where that's going to go. We don't know where it's going to go about the nurses that were forced to change in front of a trans person. They were looking at losing the jobs. We don't know. I think there's just going to be litigation left, right and centre. But let's have a look at the cards anyway. So we've got the brand new Rider-Waite tarot deck here. And the oracles today are the Star Codes Astro Oracle by Heather Rowan Robbins. So I think I'll do an oracle first and see where we are with it. So like I say, the Labour Party haven't said anything really. Angela Eagle, Chris Bryant, and one other apparently have been plotting via WhatsApp to subvert that decision. I don't know what that means. Keir Starmer, being, you know, the grand observer of the law, has said nothing. Whether the Labour Party are going to seek to change the law, I don't know. I do know that there was a huge demonstration in London yesterday where a lot of trans females were decided they were going to piss everywhere under the guise of hashtag P for me, and threats to murder women that they say are TERFs, trans exclusionary radical feminists. Well, I'm not a trans exclusionary anybody, but personally I wouldn't want to be in a personal space with someone who's got all the wedding tackles intact. So I don't know. My opinion is the argument's gone far too far, that some of the activist groups have just got more and more radical in order to stay relevant. If no one had gone too far, then no one would have given a toss whether someone's trans or not. It existed forever. Trans people have existed forever and no one's ever really batted an eye. But now I think that particular section of the community has been infiltrated by a minority of individuals, in my opinion, this is, who are hell-bent on undermining women. It's almost like an oxymoron. Someone who's insistent they're a woman acting in a very misogynistic way. It's insane. Come on, let's have an oracle. So I don't know what that means, and I don't know where, how much further that's going to go, and a lot of that is going to depend on Keir Starmer and whether he's strong enough to put a stop to it. So we've got number 56, progressions, journey. This is reminding me quite a lot of the world card in a way. I'm seeing the world in this like the end of a cycle, a completion. I don't know whether that's what's going to come up in the blurb, but we'll have a look. 56. Right, progressions do not speak of a passing thing, but to the big sweeping arcs of karmic fate, to your soul's journey. Your present situation may not make sense, no it doesn't, in the short term, because it has more to do with big karmic patterns and how to intersect with karmic patterns of the world's progress, and less to do with your daily existence. Stand back and look at your life's journey. Think of the years you engaged with the world and the years you needed time for more personal work. Consider making a timeline or painting this landscape to see where you are in those big sweeping patterns. This situation may feel fated, but the outcome is not predestined. Though you may feel uncomfortable, you always have a choice about how you respond and where you go. To help guide you in the moment, consider where you would like to be at the end of your life, a far distant point, and look back. Let this future become your lighthouse to guide you, even though you may have to go around the rocks and work with the tides. Let your lighthouse guide you. This line here, though you may feel uncomfortable, you always have a choice about how you respond and where you go. So basically, I think this is just a case of take a deep breath and don't be afraid, because you have a tongue in your head, you have a mind of your own, and if you don't feel comfortable, you are now in law, clarified in law. If you are a woman, it's been clarified in law that biological men that invade women's spaces doesn't have to be put up with anymore for now, unless the Labour Party thinks about changing the law. I think they're going to find that very, very difficult. I also think that they're going to find this whole thing is going to be difficult for them because there's so many people lost their jobs. There's been so many people being deplatformed because of their opinion. What's that bloke who wrote Father Ted? He was completely deplatformed because of his opinion on this issue. And he's got some comeback for that. The people who've lost their jobs through speaking their own, mind have lost their jobs. There's a lot of recourse for action here. Yeah, we've got the Wheel of Fortune. Right. 10. It's an ending. But the Wheel of Fortune is also like fate. But as this Star Codes Astro is saying, you have a choice. It's not predestined. It's not a fate thing. This first card out is like the card of fate. It's a spin the wheel and take your choice. This is right. We're in the middle of a gamble now. I think the Labour Party is now thinking about which gamble they're going to take. That's your Wheel of Fortune. Oh, I'm not used to Rider-Waite's being new. They're quite difficult to shuffle when they're new, actually. Let me know in the comments if you're interested in having these old cards as a giveaway. And then we've got the Star. So there's a gamble coming up. This gamble looks like that there's a real desire to heal the situation and to calm this situation down. Now, I'm looking at this Star card at the moment as dampening down the rhetoric with this water, dampening down the rhetoric, cooling the jets, pouring water on the fire rather than fuel. And I think this is what they're gambling with at the moment. Which way are they going to go, and which is the best way to actually quash this whole thing from now on? Right out of the gate, 2 major arcanas, and I can tell you I've sat here for a long time already shuffling these cards. So it's not that they're all out of straight out of the box. And then we've got Death, 3 major arcana cards, and then we've got the Chariot, 4. First 4 are straight out the gate are majors. That's unbelievable. Right, so we've got that, and then we've got an ending to the situation. Death is an ending and signalling a new beginning. So it's almost as if this could go 2 ways. This could either end what's happening now, which will make people who are very angry and vicious about the whole thing more determined to strive forward and get what they want, or it's going to be an end to the situation and let's move on and strive forward and work together, depending on what comes out after that. So let's have a look. We have the 7 of Pentacles. We have the 4 of Wands. We have the 5 of Cups. Right, so with these two, we've got this. It's not necessarily fated. This actually does depend on what the Labour Party and other politicians decide to do from now on. It's not. This has not finished. I don't think this issue has finished. It's not settled. It's settled in law. The law's being clarified. People don't want to hear the law. They want to hear what they want to hear. It's like almost like being told no is not on there. They don't want to be told no. So there's a difficulty here with trying to get people around the table to pour water to cool the fire down. And then over the top of that, we've got the Seven of Pentacles. There is going to be a lot of work to do in order to cool this debate, because it's been allowed to go on, and it's been allowed to go too far. It wasn't stopped dead in its tracks when it should have been. This is a lot of hard work, but looking at the pentacles here, someone's planted the seed and now they're harvesting something. They've toiled over the land, basically toiled to get this fire put out, sort of thing. It's going to take a lot of hard work. And then with the Star and the Death card, we've got a healing of the situation, or a dampening down of the situation, and an ending. And then here we've got a celebration. This feels like this is quite far away. It's not going to be something that's going to happen soon. It's not happened yet, and it's not going to happen anytime soon. It feels like this arduous task of dampening down the fire, which is here, is going to take some time, but it is going to put an end or a stop to the situation. Now, you know, when you've got people threatening death of women, of biological women, because they've got the audacity to not want biological men who say they are women in their private spaces. I don't know whether Keir Starmer's going to do something quite radical in order to do that, like the radical moves that he made after the riots, or during, you know, after the riots last year. But there is definitely an ending being put to this situation over some time, and there would be obviously this is a celebration coming at some point, but it does feel like it's not an immediate thing. There's a lot of deciding and meetings being held at the moment, I'd say, and will be for some time. They are trying to work out how they're going to do that, and this feels quite risky, because whatever they decide to do, it could bring up some major risk either way. Now, this could be risk to women, it could be risk to trans people, it could be a risk to the government because of litigation. It might cost them a lot of money if they give in, if they actually give in to the, if they accept the judgment. That means a lot of people would be eligible to sue for their treatment over the last few years. And then with the Death card and the Chariot, we've got the ending of the situation and starting this determination to push forward. We've got this Five of Cups. So it looks to me like they're going to be coming to some sort of compromise. And both sides of this argument are going to have to compromise. And both sides are going to make some gains, and both sides are going to make some losses here. I don't know what that means, but there is going to be this determination to work this situation out is going to lead to a lot of disappointment on both sides. They can't make it work. There's no one solution that's going to solve this issue because it's gone too far. Right then. I can see a lot of people ended up in court, you know, trying to sue the pants off, like big corporations like the NHS, and they go, oh, this is challenging. Okay. Big corporations, such like the NHS, etc. What's he called? Somebody, I can't remember his name. He wrote Father Ted, and he was absolutely obliterated off the face of the earth. He was cancelled completely because of something he'd said about this trans rights issue, and they just literally obliterated him from the face of the earth. So we've got this There's going to take a lot of hard work. It's going to take time. It's going to end up with some sort of celebration at some stage, and someone's going to be walking off the battlefield very smug. But as we've got this 5 of cups here, might be smug to in the beginning, but then they're going to quickly realise that they haven't won everything. They haven't actually won. Nobody's going to win this. There's got to be compromise. So there's an air of caution here. So as soon as you think you've won, you haven't. Have a look through the fine print, because there is going to be quite a lot of compromise, and it looks like the compromise is going to be right. It's going to be taken. This isn't swords, so this is ideological, mental. It feels like the ideological side, if you like, is going to walk off the battlefield quite smug, having felt that they've won, but it's still a challenge, because they're going to have to give something up themselves, which they're not going to want to do. So we're looking at this disappointment. And then we've got the King of Cups. So the overall picture, what we look like we're moving towards at the moment, is some sort of appeasement. So we're looking at appeasement. Now, appeasement never works, because as soon as one side gets a little bit, it's like give an inch. They want, if you give them an inch, they'll take a mile. This appeasement is not going to work, because this king who's wanting to be compassionate and giving has got the 2 cups he's got the cup in his hand, right? He's got this cup in his hand. He's holding a cup. This one is looking down at the cups that they've lost, the things that they're going to have to compromise on. I think the women's rights are going to get, they're the ones that are going to end up being compromised much more. I really do. It's like there's an early celebration, but it's too premature, because it's not done. This lot's not done. This is not going to be done until these people get exactly what they want, because being told no is not an option for them. So what's the overall then for this issue, this trans issue? Are the biological women going to be kept safe in law, and their personal spaces be kept safe in law? Right. This is the 8 of Cups. This is walking away from everything you held dear. I think that the women's groups are going to be made to walk away. Why would that happen then? I think women, biological women, are going to lose this. Aha. They're going to walk away because they don't need to fight anymore. And this is because we've got judgment here. And this judgment is saying basically loads of people are going to wake up to this. We're going to see now lots of stories about the people who've been sidelined, ostracised, cancelled, etc., sacked from work, all that kind of thing. These stories are going to come out now, and that's going to be more mainstream than anything else. So all this suppression of female rights, biological female rights, is going to come more to the forefront and more mainstream in the media. And I think the government might have something to do with that. It's like, what, you need to walk away now because everybody knows about it, everybody's aware of it. I mean, even the police, some police forces have now said that any biological male can, even though they identify as trans, can no longer strip search a female. I think there's already a female who's been strip searched who's now suing that particular police force for making her be searched by a biological male. So this is messy. Lots of people are going to wake up, and I think the women are going to walk away from the fight because they don't need to fight anymore. Because the momentum's here now. The Supreme Court, which cannot be appealed unless the government repeals unless they go to the European Court of Human Rights. And if the trans lobbyists go to the European Court of Human Rights, it's game over. Right, this can go either way. So this whole thing is going to go either way. They might well go to the European Court of Human Rights. They can't appeal the judgment because that's the Supreme Court, but they can go to the European Court of Human Rights. And if the European Court of Human Rights say that a biological male who says they are trans and female is in fact a female and can go anywhere and invade anybody's spaces, then it's game over. I think it might well be game over sometime down the line. And it's going to take a lot of women with a lot of guts stand together and completely oppose this. And I think the Labour Party isn't going to do very much about it. But there's no surprise there. So that's where we are at the moment. That's the energy of it right now. This is just going to carry on. These trans people who say they are women are angry men. And they just, I've seen pictures and videos of these people who were protesting in London, and they're just very angry men with lipstick and a wig. And it just feels like there's a real hatred for women amongst them. But there are trans people out there that totally and wholeheartedly agree with this decision. The ones that just quietly transitioned and fitted in, slotted in, and were unassuming and not loud and not overly sexual and, not showing off any fetishes or anything like that. The real trans people, the real trans women wouldn't dream of doing any of this. But we've got this new this is new radical faction that's literally angry men. And I'll probably end up with 14 police officers at my door tomorrow morning to tell me I've done a non-crime, hate crime, and I'll probably go to prison for 3 years for that. But it is what it is. As it stands, the Supreme Court has said that trans people have the right to be safe like anybody else and to be recognised in society. But when it comes to biological women's spaces and sports, that is when the definition of woman is only biological and not ideological. So let's see where it goes, but it feels like there's a long way to go yet. Right then, I'm off and I'll speak to you later, and let me know what you think about the old Rider weights, and I'll speak to you later. Take care. Ta-ra!